Whether you work for a company, own a business, or are an entrepreneur, let's talk about how to avoid one massive but often overlooked pitfall that just may cause you to stumble. Success early in your career relies on external accountability, no matter where you start. All your assignments and deadlines are linked directly to bosses or clients who determine whether the task was a success or not. We all know there are negative repercussions associated with missed deadlines and unfinished assignments, such as no salary increases, no new contracts, passed over for promotions, customer complaints, or fired. Conversely, there are rewards attributed to timely completion, raises, promotions, or new business. You've already learned this lesson, or you wouldn't still be gainfully employed or have grown a client base. You've established a reputation for excellence and integrity by keeping promises, external accountability, to the people who matter. However, a quick peek into a growth-oriented leader or business owner or entrepreneur's mindset reveals a very distinct career-building accountability muscle. In addition to keeping promises to others, they also keep promises to themselves despite their overflowing calendar. Often their activities have few, if any, visible deadlines, and yet the future profitability of an organization or an individual's promotion prospects or the growth of a business emerges out of those underground internal accountability endeavors. You see, these leaders know that if they don't make an effort on tomorrow possibilities right now, there will be no gold star in the future, either for them or their organization. They recognize the equal or balanced value in today as tomorrow work because both are critical. Your growth is limited when you manage your career exclusively from an external accountability perspective. Such a level of commitment garners you your current level of achievement. However, it just may be the very mindset limiting who you are and what your company can be in the future without you even realizing it. What will a shift in accountability attitude look like in action? The rules dramatically change as you take on a heightened level of awareness and responsibility. An internal accountability approach has you evaluating your world with a far-seeing bird's eye view, considering not merely today, but taking into account a broader perspective that includes tomorrow's needs as well. The reality is that just because you are busy doesn't mean you can afford to ignore what your strategic mind tells you you need to do, even when the undertaking doesn't have a single deadline or urgency attached to it. You'll lose long-term if you continue to prioritize your calendar this way. Actually, it is the death of your career potentiality because you won't have built the skills or higher level visibility in your organization, developed the product or services relevant for tomorrow's customers, explored an untraditional marketing approach to meet the needs of the next generation, experimented with new technology to compete in tomorrow's marketplace, or many other activities that will lay the foundation for your future. Take a moment to check your scorecard. Where are you most at ease? Where do you focus your attention? Are you discovering you're excellent at finishing tasks delegated to you, but you're not so stellar at completing work you know needs to be done, yet you aren't being held accountable for completing? You know, those sparks of insights concerning remedying a process breakdown no one else has recognized, or perhaps you address a customer issue before it's identified or developed an unpaid, untried business resolution, all of which are you planting idea seeds for your big future. An internal accountability focus calls for real-time, now attention. How do you impair your future? You're the most relevant evaluator in your world. Ask yourself, Is it only the external commitments you make that determine your influence? Or does it include the power of the internal commitment you make that no one knows about, which counts as well? You matter big time in the equation. Whether you realize it or not, you're constantly assessing your credibility based on everything you say you'll do, even when only to yourself. It's part of the human makeup. Weighing all your to-do and not to-dos, external and internal, is where the little wise, knowing part of your being decides whether you're worthy or not, where it determines whether you deserve the keys to the kingdom or not, where your power resides to be turned on or not. When you're not acting as you say you will or intend to, even if only to yourself, it diminishes the you the outside world experiences. It creates stress because you seldom forget what's left undone, even though you committed only to yourself. More than that, it limits your future. Without being internally accountable, you consistently erode your effectiveness. If your thoughts, words, and activities aren't aligned, you perceive yourself as weak, unworthy, or ultimately untrustworthy. And trust is a necessary component of success. Trust in self and the trust of others. Just as harmful when you aren't producing for the future, you are seen as a follower, not a leader. This erosion process begins in your mind when you say, I sense I have a bright future in front of me. And yet every time you have a flash of insight that a process, product, service, or marketing piece could be made better, you do nothing, or you continually put it off until tomorrow. How can I transform myself into an internally accountable person? I know this sounds counterproductive. However, to be internally accountable, you have to stop working on some of your urgent today projects, leaving them unfinished for a brief period. This suggestion will probably horrify you. It certainly will be tough, yet the decision still must be made. What on your desk can slide a day? Please don't say everything is a priority, because that kind of thinking means nothing is a priority. Tell me, haven't you found that when an employee has a health emergency, a death in the family, the internet crashes, or any number of other scenarios occurring, these must-do now deadlines change? Or more probably, the work remains piled on a desk until the worker returns. So how urgent and set in stone are the due dates? When this happens to someone, perhaps this someone is you, haven't you noticed relatively easy to pick up today projects and move them through the pipeline? In truth, it is often simpler to finesse these priorities than it is to choose to spend time on tomorrow actions. Are you still shaking your head? I can't tell you how critical realizing the flexibility your schedule offers is for your future success. I distinctly remember when this aha hit me smack dab between the eyes. It was an exercise in time management book that brought about the breakthrough. There was a series of questions regarding my workload accomplishments. First asking what's working and then what's not. I completed the assignment as honestly as I was able. The aha hit me as I assessed my answers. Everything under the working session listed tasks I like or feel good about achieving or won me external rewards, and conversely, under not working were the projects I didn't excel at or enjoy doing. Aha! When I'm saying I don't have enough time to do yada, 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 the reality is that I'm choosing. It's always a choice. Everything documented under both working and not working was on my to-do list. The fact is, I decided what I work on every single hour of the day. Wow. I never credited how much influence I have over my calendar, nor was I taking advantage of it to leverage the future of my career or business or projects. What about you and what you decide? Did this exercise help you understand how much more choice you have than you realize? If you don't keep this top of mind, you'll never claim time to work on internally accountable activities. It requires vigilance to carve chunks out of your schedule for your future, no matter what. The transition to begin working from two separate yet equally central frames of reference, both externally and internally accountable, isn't for the faint of heart. Reasons and excuses never justify breaking commitments to others, but equally the ones you make to yourself. Don't fall prey to what Martin Luther King calls a mythical concept of time by always waiting for a more convenient season, where he charges the wait has almost always meant never. It is all too easy for your focus to settle primarily on the firefighting, immediate reward enterprises. Thus, you overlook the all-important preparation for your future priorities. You see, internal accountability is you choosing to follow the whisper in your heart, pointing the way to your fantastic tomorrow. And it necessitates taking action today to bring it into being. Somehow, the more concrete and expected external accountability tasks are always calculated as more critical than the seemingly unsubstantial objectives you're holding yourself internally accountable for achieving. Are you seeing how leading your career or business requires transforming your mindset and your calendar? Both external and internal accountability are essential. Do you intend to rethink and relate to your workload and schedule differently? What will be the best balance for your future moving forward? I'm thrilled you've listened to the Thrive with Nancy podcast. My intention is to offer quick tips designed for you to apply right away, ones that will boost your career immediately. I bet you're already considering ways to implement these new ideas. Perfect! Now, if you do me a favor, pass the podcast link on to those who will benefit, your friends and coworkers. Thanks so much.